You do not carry such a big amount in your pocket. Yes, it's not possible to do that. Yeah. So what you're going to do, just because you are the regular person visiting to that place and to that person to purchase the stock of school bags, that person will allow you a credit period of time. Yes, what you'll do, you'll pay 60,000 on the spot, and remaining 60 you'll pay later after a month. Okay, so understand, this becomes a cash transaction, this becomes a credit transaction. Yes, why is this a credit transaction? Because the payment is delayed. This is going to be paid after 1 month. You will pay this after 1 month. Yes, so this is the credit transaction and this is your liability. Yes, 60,000 is yet to be paid. This is your liability. Yes, and the person who has provided you goods on credit, मतलब घर पे जिसने sell किया है, right? That person is a creditor. A definition ahead in this concept. Yes, creditors, debtors. Yes, so we are talking about liability. So 60,000 is my liability towards this person who is termed as creditor. Yes, to the person, I have to pay 60,000 to the person from whom I have purchased goods worth rupees 1,20,000. 60,000 I have paid during that moment itself, and remaining 60 I'm going to pay later. So this is my liability. So any amount payable to the person who supplies goods and services on credit is a liability, or any amount payable for borrowed money is also a liability. Just like we have understood the example of loan taken from bank. The bank has given you a loan of rupees 80,000. And rupees 80,000 you are going to pay, you are going to return it to bank in future date. That means the borrowed amount is to be returned to bank. This is also a liability. In short, any amount payable to any outsider from the business for credit purchase of goods and services, or amount payable for borrowed money, is a liability. Yes, so we have understood capital, drawings, and now liability. Let us understand the types of liability. Yes. All right, the types of liability. Firstly, it is on the basis of relation. Relation, it is internal liability and external liability. All right, capital is an internal liability. You'll say how? Capital is provided by the owner to the business. So it is the liability of business towards the owner. Owner who is already a part of business actually It is the business of owner itself. Yes? So, the liability of business towards the owner is an internal liability, and capital is considered to be an internal liability. All the other liabilities are external liabilities. Yes, owner is the person connected with business, is a person from business itself. This is the reason it is internal liability. Capital is an internal liability. It is the liability of business towards the owner. Yes? All the other liabilities, it is mentioned in your textbook on page number 12. They say, amount payable by the business to the owner is internal liability, and owner of business has provided capital. Yes, so capital is an internal liability, and if we are talking about external liability, then it says that any amount payable to the third party. Who's the third party? It is the outsiders. Yes, a person from whom you have purchased goods on credit, just like we have just considered the example of 60,000, 1,20,000. Yes, 60,000 of which you have paid in cash immediately, and the remaining 60,000 you haven't paid yet. Yeah, so that is a liability, and that is an external liability. Yes, so only the liability of liability of business towards owner is an internal liability, and other liabilities are treated as external liabilities. Right? Okay, now let us understand this definition, the types, on the basis of time. So, say for example, you have visited to a place, say Ahmedabad or Rajkot, yes, so that you can create sufficient stock at your place, so that you can display the same when the customers will visit your place. Yes, obviously the choice is to be made available to them. Yeah, so once you went, the total bill amounted to rupees 1,20,000. Yes, and of which 60,000 you have paid in cash, and remaining 60 you are going to pay later in future. Yes, so here comes the revision of cash and credit transaction. Once you have paid 60,000 in cash, this is the cash transaction. Goods have been received by you and the cash is given. Business transaction, cash transaction. Goods have been received by you of rupees 1,20,000, of which only 60,000 you have paid, and remaining 60 you are going to pay later in future. Now this becomes your liability. Yes, this is your liability. So the amount payable to any outsider is your liability. Yes, this is for the purchase of goods. Yes, we have understood the meaning of liability. What actually it is, that the amount that is paid for a borrowed money or credit purchase of goods and services. Yes, let us quickly understand the types of liability. Yeah. Okay, so the types of liability can be on the basis of time and on the basis of a relation. Yes, so firstly we'll understand on the basis of a relation. Types based on relation is internal liability and external liability. Now, what is an internal liability? Internal liability the liability of the capital of the owner. This is the liability of business towards the owner. The capital, the amount of capital provided by the owner to the business, yes, comes under the category of internal liability. You may ask, ma'am, how is that possible? Business is mine, owner is me again. But let me make a point clear here. You have to treat the business and ownership separately to keep a perfect record of everything. The amount of capital invested by the owner in business is an internal liability of business towards the owner. Now talking about external liabilities. These are the liabilities, the amount payable to the third party. Third party is any person outside from your business, the one who is providing goods and services on credit to you, to your business. The amount payable to them is, comes under the category of external liability. Yes? Okay. Let us read these definitions in detail in your textbook. Okay, it is given on page number 12, the topic for liability. I'll repeat the meaning of liability: amount payable by the business for credit purchase of goods, asset, or amount payable for borrowed money is known as liability. So, simply speaking, any amount that is payable to outsiders, the third parties, or an amount payable for borrowed money is a liability. Yes, the types on the basis of time and on the basis of relation. On the basis of relation, you have two types, internal and external. Yes, internal liability is the liability towards the owner. Capital comes under the category of internal liability. External liability, it is about the people who provide goods on credit. Yes, just the way I gave you the example about that you have purchased goods worth rupees 1,20,000 once you visit Ahmedabad for the purchase of the stock in bulk, so that you can create sufficient quantity in your place of work. 60,000 you have paid in cash, and remaining 60 you're going to pay later. Yes, so that 60,000, the one that you haven't paid but you are going to pay in future is your liability. And also the amount of loan that you have taken from bank in case if you are in need, yes, that is also a liability. Yes, now let us understand the types of liability on the basis of time. For that, you need to have an idea about accounting year first of all. Okay, so accounting year is the current accounting year. We can consider it is from 1st April to 31st March, a time span of 12 months. Whatever is going to happen within this 12 months is to be recorded in the books of accounts. Yes, so we are talking about liability right now on the basis of time. Yes, so on the basis of time, the very first type is current liability. Yes, the amount payable within a year. Within the business year, 1 year. Yes, any amount that you are supposed to pay within a year. Yes, within that particular accounting year is current liability, also known as short-term liability. Yes, amount payable for the credit purchase of goods comes under this category. Outstanding expenses, expenses which are to be paid within 1 year, again come under the category of current liabilities. Yes. Then the second thing is non-current liability, an amount payable after 1 year. That means the amount that you don't have to pay within 1 year, you can even pay after a year, more than 1 year. Comes under the category of non-current liability. An example for this is a bank loan. A loan taken from bank. Now loan, amount that you have borrowed for your business for the financial requirement, for fulfillment of financial requirement. Yes. So for example, you have borrowed 1 lakh rupees or 2 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh, anything. Yeah. This amount you are going to return in installments every year maybe. Yes. This amount you are not supposed to return completely within 1 year. Obviously the amount of loan is high. Yes. You are going to pay in installments every month, every 6 months or every year. Yes. So this amount is to be repaid even after a year. You can repay even after a year, right? So this is a non-current liability. In short, liability is anything that is payable to an outsider. Internal liability is capital. Third party, amount payable to third parties falls under the category of external liability, and on the basis of time, amount payable within 1 year is current liability. Amount payable after 1 year, more than a year, is non-current liability. Okay, so we are done with the topic of liability, and let us quickly read the definition that is given in your textbook for better understanding. It is on page number 13, current liability and non-current liability. Yes, current liability and non-current liability is determined on the basis of time. The explanation is a liability which is to be paid within 1 year by business is known as current liability. Current liability is treated as short-term liability. Generally, in short-term liability, goods purchased on credit, expenses outstanding, just the way I have explained. I recently gave these examples, yes? And the example that I have explained in this lecture, that you are supposed to pay 60,000, yes, is also a part of current liability. Yes, you're supposed to pay within a month, within 2 months, maybe after 3 months, but within that particular accounting year. Yes, so that is the current liability. Then, talking about non-current liability, a liability which is to be paid during the period of more than 1 year by the business is known as non-current liability. More than a year. Yes? Then, non-current liability is also known as long-term liability. Just like current liability is termed as short-term, non-current liability is termed as a long-term liability. Yes? Alright. So, liabilities and its definition, its types is done. So, let us move towards the new topic for today, which is assets. The most important topic of all, although every topic in this chapter with the concept of terminology is important, but assets is is the most important. We've understood about capital, liabilities, and now we are going to study about assets. These particular things are extremely important. These are the main things of the business, I can say. Yeah. So assets. Okay, before we go in detail with the definition, let us practically try to understand this. Yes. So firstly, as I said, that if you want to start up a business activity, the very first requirement is of capital. Yes. Okay, so which means cash or assets. There was a word in definition. The owner will bring capital in cash or in the form of asset. So what is an asset? Okay, let us consider cash first. That is money. Now you want to start up a business or you want to set up an office for working purpose. Office or building or premises you'll need. It is either readily available or you'll have to undertake the construction process. So for that you will need a piece of land first of all. Yeah. So you'll purchase land, a piece of land, yes, where you'll set up your shop, your office, your premises, whatever it is. Yes. So you've purchased land. Now the premises, a building. This can be rented or it is to be constructed. The choice is yours. Yes, it depends. I mean, the choice depends upon the person who is actually undertaking the business activity. Yes, what next? Say for example, the office has been built up. Building, office, anything. What next? Office, the office room. Is it going to be empty? No. You will need the essentials, of which the very first is furniture. Furniture also includes the table, chair, etc. Everything. The furniture needs to be constructed. Yes. So, what is the next thing? You are the owner, everything is set up, there is a piece of land, the premises is ready, the office is ready with necessary furniture. What next? Or else you can say showroom is ready. Yes, you have purchased a piece of land, you've framed your own showroom which comes under the heading of building, office, showroom, whatever it is. Then there is necessary furniture. Now that showroom is about what? Say for example, it is about the wall clock. It can be about jewelry. It can be about anything. Yeah. So you need to create sufficient stock. There should be something available to sell. So you need to have a stock. Stock of what? Stock of goods. What are goods? An item in which you are dealing, you are trading. If you are having a showroom of school bags, then bags are goods for you and you need to have sufficient stock of goods. Yes, sufficient stock of bags should be available so that when people visit your shop, they have ample of choice and they will select the best bag for themselves and they will take necessary decision to buy the same. Variety should be available. Yes, for that you need to have sufficient stock. To purchase stock you need cash. You can also purchase it on credit, but it will again need cash on the due date. You see, this is all relative. So owner brings cash or any of these assets. Yes, assets will also include machine or many more. Machine is also a part of an asset. Yes. So these are all assets. So capital, owner can bring cash, can also bring any sort of asset, can also bring the stock of goods. Everything is treated as a part of capital. Yes, let it be in the form of cash or in the form of an asset. Yes, and these are the assets. Yes, these are having the realizable value in the business. The property in the business having realizable value is termed as an asset. Yes. So assets again are of three types, of which the first one is non-current assets. Current assets and fictitious assets. There are three types of assets, of which the very first is non-current assets, which is also known as fixed assets. Let us understand this topic in detail. Okay, non-current assets also known as fixed assets again are of two types, tangible and intangible. We are talking about non-current assets. The very first type of an asset is also known as fixed assets, having two types again, tangible and intangible. Understand the meaning of non-current assets first. Just the way you had non-current liability, you have non-current assets. Assets, you know the meaning. What is an asset? Yes? Let us read the definition. Assets means any such tangible or intangible product or item which is of ownership of business and has economic value. Asset means economic resources which are held by owner and from which there is expectation of economic benefit to the business in the future. Yes, and then they have presented the necessary types. Yes, so items or products having economic value in the business are termed as an asset. Yes, and the assets having life of more than a year are non-current assets. Just the way there is non-current liability. Amount payable after a year is non-current liability. Yes. Similarly, non-current assets, it says non-current assets are for a period of more than a year, more than 1 year. Like we have understood, land, building. You're not going to construct a building newly again every year. No, furniture, not every year. Not again and again. Yes? So these assets, these type of assets, they are having a lifetime of more than 1 year, isn't it? Obviously, you're not going to purchase the machine every year, new machine. No, you're not going to frame the new furniture every year, new premises every year. No. This type of assets, they are having a life of more than a year. And this is the reason they are termed as non-current assets. Now again, it is also known as fixed assets, and further it is classified as tangible and intangible assets. What does the word tangible mean? All right. The assets which can be seen, which can be touched, which are having a physical existence, can be seen and can be touched, are known as tangible assets. Yes. Tangible assets: land, building, furniture, machine, these are all non-current tangible assets. Intangible assets: the one which cannot be seen, which cannot be touched, are intangible assets. Patent, goodwill, copyright, and trademark. These are the examples of intangible assets. Yes? So the one you cannot see, you cannot touch. Yes? But these are also non-current assets which fall under the category of intangible assets. The meaning of these four words will surely be elaborated in the lectures ahead. Yes? And the examples of tangible assets: land, building, furniture, machine. This you already know. These are non-current assets and tangible. Obviously, you can see the machine, furniture, land, building. You can see them, touch them. Yes? So these are tangible assets. And the one you cannot see and you cannot touch are these assets: trademark, copyright, patent, goodwill. We'll surely elaborate the meaning of these words in detail, of course, in the lectures coming ahead. Yes? And further, we have to understand the meaning of fictitious assets. Yes? This topic will be continued further in the next lecture, for sure. For today, we'll end our session here. So, before ending, let us quickly revise whatever we have understood. We've understood the definition of capital. We have also understood the meaning of drawings. Then we have understood about liabilities and its types. And finally, we have taken the topic of assets. And we are dealing with the first type of asset, that is non-current assets. We have two more types, that is current assets and fictitious assets. Yes, we'll understand this in detail in the next lecture, for sure. For now, you should study the topics that we have understood in this lecture, the definitions. You will read them in detail, carefully, and you will write down the definitions in your fair book that you have prepared. I hope you have written all the head points of characteristics, advantages, objectives, etc. Yes? From the previous video lectures that you have come across. Yes? So you'll follow the same pattern even for today's lecture. You will study this lecture. On this basis, you will study the detail, you will study the concept in detail in your textbook. Yes, the entire explanation is given precisely in the book, and also I have explained it in a better way. So you will merge these two things to create a clear understanding in your mind. And then you will write down these definitions for sure in your fair books. Yes, The subject is new. I have already said this several times. It takes a bit time to get used to this. Yes, this is for the first time in standard 11th, but trust me, it is very interesting once you start understanding this, once you show interest in learning this subject. Yes, we are going extremely slow with understanding of terminology of accounting. Why? Because this is the language of accounting. Yes, as I said, if you want to become a doctor, you need to learn the doctory language. That this is the name of this medicine. This symptoms are for this particular disease. Yes. Similarly, once you start learning accounting, you need to understand which word is used, where and for what purpose. What is its actual meaning in terms of business? Yes? So, we'll end the session here today. I hope you all were able to understand the definitions, the terminology topic that we have been doing. Yes? Make sure you watch these lectures repeatedly. Yes, just because we are not able to meet in a classroom. Yes, so it is possible that you are not able to ask me your doubts immediately. Yes, but you can let me know in the comment sections, or you can contact the school authorities. Yes, the medium of phone calls. Yes, has been established. Yes, so you can solve your doubts in that manner accordingly. But make sure you watch all the lectures perfectly and in order. Yes, so that's all for today. We'll see you all soon in the next lecture. Till then, stay home.